Hello, beautiful viewers down south through the cosmos. Prepare to indulge in experiencing sheer bliss, because today another riveting, captivating, stellar unboxing video is about to be brought to fruition. What items will I be unboxing? What items will I be opening? Without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to flaunt the packaging. Let's render the contents of the packaging transparent. Here's the box. Here's my nifty pair of scissors. I'm going to utilize them to penetrate through the box. Let's puncture the box. Let's render an aperture in the box, and then we'll expand the opening. We'll exploit the opening so that I can subsequently extract the items from the box. Here we go. Actually, I opt to sever the seal. It's more efficient in the context of being able to open the box in a timely manner. This box is enormous. There are a myriad of action figures encompassed within the box. I procure them via eBay used. I received a 2% cashback rebate amid purchasing these items, since my credit card affords me the opportunity to receive 2% cashback. Furthermore, I also received 2% in eBay bucks upon purchasing these stellar action figures. I'm going to flaunt them. I'm going to showcase them to you right here, right now, so bear with me. It will only take me billions of picoseconds to remove them from their innate default box that the seller utilized to ship them in. Obviously, this is not their original retail packaging, but if you procure these items used via eBay, then expect to receive them in a hefty, bulky, generic box that the seller packages them in. He utilized these priority mail boxes to safeguard the items amid the transportation process. That's quite interesting. These are likely free to acquire. The taxpayers likely subsidize these items, so it's not free. So these items are likely subsidized via involuntary transactions. I do not ever support extortion nor coercion, but it's out of my control. If you have to finance these boxes under duress, then there's nothing you can do. And if you don't comply, the ramifications can be worse. Those are the repercussions associated with living in a world where you're perpetually enslaved. I support only voluntary transactions, which is why I love the private sector, because they generate wealth through peaceful means, aka voluntary transactions. But I digress. Let's allow the unboxing to reconvene. Alrighty, so the items are engulfed in bubble wrap. You have 3 action figures off the get-go. You have this monster. I'm not sure of his moniker. Is he a man-bat? Who knows? He's some type of creature. I think he's derived from the TMNT 2007 flick, but you could verify that for yourself. That, I believe, was a CGI film. It was relatively mediocre. I did not like settling for insipid mediocrity, but I did not expect the film to be mediocre when I initially saw it. I was anticipating that it would be stellar, and the embodiment of resounding perfection. Unfortunately, I was disappointed, but that's another topic for another video. So here's the first action figure. Next we have Karai and the Shredder. The Shredder is missing his corresponding weapons. Karai is also devoid of her default weapons. It's quite a shame, it's quite a pity. Then we have Dark Assassin or Ninja Assassin. His hands are comprised of rubber. This is quite unusual. Playmace is content with cutting costs in whatever way possible. Their newer figurines are missing plastic fillings in various areas. This figurine's hands are comprised of rubber. Maybe he could be relegated to a window. Who knows? I think the novelty of this figure is that he can be stuck onto the window. I was about to say he could be plastered onto the window, but I don't know if that's possible. He's missing his forearm apparently, which is disappointing. He lacks articulation in the knee joint. He lacks finger joint articulation. What a bummer, but it is what it is. The Shredder is marred with scratch. This Shredder's armor is marred with scratches, as you can blatantly see. Well, the scratches are minute, so it may be arduous for you to pinpoint them, but they are bothersome. Yet again, it's out of my control. I did not expect these figurines to come in pristine condition upon bidding on them. We have Dr. Baxter Stockman utilizing this contraption. This is quite a nifty figurine. He has a plethora of weapons at his disposal. If you would deem these hunks of plastic to be weapons, you could utilize your creativity here, or your visual prowess. He's ready to charge in the fray battle and ward off the turtles. He's a sadistic, evil, malicious villain. He used to be the employer of April O'Neil, but now he works for the Shredder apparently. So I already possess this figurine, but I guess it never hurts to have a duplicate figurine that's homogeneous to the one that I already possess. Alrighty, we have the Ultimate Ninja from the TMNT 2003 animated series. He may have made his debut in the series in 2004. I'm unsure of the exact date the episode was released. He was featured in the Battle Nexus tournament. I believe Leonardo trounced him when they had a rematch. I believe he may have fought against Leonardo at least twice, but that's an enigma. I would need to verify that. It's been years since I last seen the show, and I vaguely recollect all the action sequences. We have Raphael. His sandals are green. They did not want to add any color variations to his sandals, with the caveat of the black straps. He does have some articulation in his toe. He cannot perform the ankle pivot. It's quite disappointing. He has a hinge in his toe, so you can slightly move the toe joints up and down. I'm not impressed by this figurine. You have a dinosaur. Is this a what, Triceratops? It's not a Triceraton. Is this I'm not well acclimated with dinosaur terminology. I believe his name begins with Tri. What is his moniker? Maybe it will dawn on me in the future post-recording this video. It's probably not Trisectosaurus. It likely begins with Tri. There's no need for me to ponder about what this dinosaur's name is. It's not relevant. Discovering his name will not provide me with any pragmatic information. I'm not a biologist, so I'll desist from contemplating about his name for now. I need to move on. We have a monster that made his cameo appearance in the beginning of the TMNT show. He's missing his tail. His tail has been severed. What a shame. I believe this may have been Dr. Magnus. I'm not sure about his moniker. I believe he's some sort of alien doctor. Doctors are supposed to bequeath wisdom to their subordinates, and to others they're supposed to disseminate knowledge. I believe that's a definition of a doctor. But I'm not sure if he educates anyone or if he dispenses knowledge. I'm not sure if he has any pupils or disciples or subordinates. I never seen him in the anime, but a figurine of him was forged, so he's likely embedded within the TMNT 2003 anime series. We have Michelangelo. This is, I believe, the Evo clone or something. Not 100% sure. I believe he's from the future, or the TMNT fast forward arc. I believe that's the name of it. You could verify that for yourself, which was one of the latter arcs in the anime series. But yet again, I watched random episodes. I never really kept up with the lore, and I bought the action figures when I located them on retail shelves. More figurines. We have the Evo Donatello clone. This figurine is quite spectacular. This figurine is stupendous. Unfortunately, he lacks articulation in his knees. He lacks elbow joint articulation. He can rotate his head. He cannot swirl his Actually, he can swirl his wrists. I was about to make the arbitrary assumption that he wasn't able to swirl his wrists, but he appears to be able to do so. This is quite a nifty figurine. I love this figurine. I love his aesthetics. I love his paint applications. I love his textures and shadings. This is just an impressive figurine overall. So, as a totality, I'm not extremely disappointed with this lot. I acquired these figurines for relatively low prices. They may have been under $5 each. I will need to verify the price I paid per figurine. Here is nobody from the series. He does not appear to be marred with scratches. His integrity hasn't been compromised. He's still in one piece. There's always a benefit. I love this figurine. He's missing any nunchucks or batons or whatever innate default weapons he was supposed to come with amid purchasing him new. I used to own him new, but I couldn't retain him when I was unable to finance a storage unit for my action figure collection. So I succumbed to relinquishing all my figurines mint on card, but that's a story for another time. There's a giant mouse there right now. Can add a third one to my prodigious new action figure collection. Baxter Stockman leveraged these to ward off the turtles. His sadistic attempts to trounce the turtles were in vain. He failed to complete his various missions assigned to him by the Shredder, and subsequently lost his limbs. The show was obviously censored, so they don't showcase his limbs being removed. But this was one of the robots he utilized against the turtles. Even more figurines. This is a Fire Mystique or Fire Mystic. I'm not sure what his exact moniker is. It's probably irrelevant. It's not going to help me generate a significant amount of revenue if I find out the name of a fictitious character that someone else spawned in their mind and then subsequently transferred their ideas from their mind onto paper to bring these characters to fruition in an animated series. So he's just one of the warriors that the turtles fight and decimate, along with other elemental warriors. I believe there's at least 4 elemental warriors that he possesses. Fire elemental attacks, where he could wield flames apparently. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not well acclimated with the theories. I haven't watched it from start to finish. I've just seen random clips here and there. One of the figurines just fell, which is unfortunate. He just collided into my computer case. Hopefully he's not scratched, but if he is, there's nothing I can do. Better for him to be opened rather than be relegated in the box. The closing for these figurines have no major creases, which is beneficial, obviously, because you do not want your action figures to be ruined in any aspect. Now, in the context of his condition, he's pretty much unscathed. As you can clearly see, he doesn't have any major scratches. He has his innate default weapon, his axe. He can utilize this axe to decimate any adversaries within his vicinity. Here's Shredder in his prehistoric attire. I believe this episode is from an arc when the turtles go into the past or travel back in time. Who knows? This figurine is clearly not from the prehistoric era, even though he was produced in the past. He's missing an arm. Is this figurine shoddy? He's somewhat shoddy. Actually, I would deem him to be shoddy in stark contrast to the Toy Biz Marvel Legends action figures. Again, he's not a spectacular figurine. He lacks ample points of articulation. You have Casey Jones. He's kind of a generic bland figurine. Nothing too special about this figurine. He's missing his mask. We have Evo clone of Leonardo. He has a shoulder plate. He's missing armor in other areas. I'm not sure if he was originally bundled with other pieces of armor. Is this supposed to be a raptor? I don't even know. This is probably not a Triceratops or T-Rex, or maybe he's a T-Rex. Or maybe he's a raptor. You know what, I honestly do not know. I'm just being candid with you. It's probably a T-Rex. That's what I presume. Not really a bad figurine if you want to build up a dinosaur action figure collection. This dinosaur wields armor. The armor is comprised of rubber. His tail can be severed. It doesn't really have a metallic sheen to it. It just looks like a cheap, shoddy plastic or a shoddy rubber material. I mean, it's not always easy to distinguish it as plastic or rubber without physically feeling its textures. So, once again, that figurine is relatively mediocre. We have Raphael equipped in skating attire. It's a red shell. This figurine is quite intriguing. I love his attire. It appeases me. You have the Fugitoid, a war against a war between the Federation and the Triceratons was fought over this Fugitoid. He's really a scientist. However, he's able to harness a robotic body to do his bidding. Hopefully one day we'll be able to upload our minds into machines, or we'll be able to become cyborgs and transcend in order to augment our cognitive capabilities. As well as our physical capabilities. Another figurine from the prehistoric era in the TMNT series. He's likely some sort of monster. His claws cannot be retracted. His hands are not fully clenched together. Kind of a disappointing figure. Again, he has a finite amount of points of articulation for the same price of a toy as Marvel Legends. He doesn't hold a candle against them, or doesn't hold a candle to them, or whatever the idiom is. I believe he cannot hold a candle to them. Here's the evil Michelangelo, or the evil Michelangelo clone. Again, this is a spectacular figurine. I love the evil clones of the turtles. Is he nefarious? Is he demonic? Perhaps. As I stated earlier, I'm not well acclimated with the series. I just like buying the figurines when I can stumble upon them. I have most of the villains in the series at this point. We have Michelangelo. It would be intriguing if their skin tones were teal rather than typically being green. But this figurine, I guess, is relatively decent. It doesn't push the envelope. It's just generic. It doesn't really do that much to innovate. I mean, it's just a mediocre figurine at best. There's not too much to say about it. Again, finite amount of points of articulation, mediocre paint applications, mediocre shadings. decent textures, but nothing spectacular, nothing truly fascinating about this figure. They should have added more points of articulation. They should have amplified his height. They should have equipped him with more armor. They should have made him look disparate from the other variants of Michelangelo. I mean, there are slight distinguishes, but there's no salient differences between this figure and other various Michelangelos. They just look slightly different from one another. I mean, that's how I would compare and contrast them. Shredder, equipped with his battle armor, his helmet cannot be removed. His joints are somewhat tight. His waist is a bit loose. He can swivel his waist. What else? Obviously his head can rotate a bit. He can ravage anyone in his path with his blades. He can impale them. I love this Shredder figurine. I would have preferred if we had more articulation. He may be arduous to stand up. It's too bad we don't have a base to mount these figurines on, but there are peg holes inserted in the bottom of his feet, so if you have stands for your figurines, if you customize them, then you could place them onto a stand or mount him onto a stand. Next we have Leonardo. I was just scrutinizing this figurine in my mind. I mean, there's not too much to say about him. His harness is a bit loose. Would you deem this to be a harness? I mean, perhaps, or half a harness. Or maybe he had a full harness that got decimated. This collector neglected to properly take care of them. As an action figure collector, you should always do your due diligence. Preserve your action figures, protect them, safeguard them. Strive not to ravage them. You do not want them to become marred with scratches. You do not want their clothing to become creased. You do not want their joints to become loose. Do not tamper with your action figures. And any facet that could compromise the integrity of the figurines. Be careful when you're dealing with your figurines. You should always deal with them gingerly and with extreme caution. Since they are fragile, they're susceptible to break-in. They're not impervious to damage. Once they're scratched, the only way you could rectify the issue is if you paint over the scratch, but that's not always advised unless you're well acclimated with repairing action figures. I mean, their paint can become chipped. Hopefully you don't buy any figurines with major paint splotches. Hopefully your figurines are in mint condition and unscathed. It would be unfortunate if you succumb to buying figurines that were partially ravaged and that were missing limbs, but you can't always get what you want in life. You can only buy what you can afford, unless you want to indebt yourself, and then the interest accrues into further debt, and then you are indebted the rest of your life, and it's arduous to get out, but you can if you generate enough wealth and provide enough economic value to the private sector. That's another discussion for another time. But because interest can compound and accumulate and amplify exponentially over the course of time, it's ideal to abstain from getting into debt unless you have absolutely no choice to finance your necessary expenses in order to survive. But you could defray your expenses by working when time permits, even if you are a full-time doctoral student or full-time graduate student. So here's Raphael. I'm surprised that this figurine is in pristine condition. I don't see any major flaws with this figurine. His belt buckle is still intact. Again, this is a decent figurine. We have the peg holes in the bottom of his feet. Playmates Toys did a stellar job sculpting this figurine. I believe they sculpted him. Maybe they contracted a separate company to sculpt their figurines. I'm not going to make any arbitrary assumptions. They were produced by Playmates Toys, but perhaps they were sculpted by a disparate company. Was it the Four Horsemen Studios company? Probably not. We have this rabbit. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce his name. He's a samurai from the series. You can rotate his waist. It's just fascinating to watch. If you find this novelty to be amusing. I believe there's a manga written about him. I love anime crossovers. I love when they incorporate various characters derived from disparate anime series into an anime special or into another series. I love anime crossovers. This Ultimate Damio, I'm not sure what his exact moniker is. He's a father of the Ultimate Ninja. His role in the Battle Nexus tournament was ancillary. Sorry about the blunder. His role was ancillary. It's an unusual word. He overseen the tournament along with the referee who presided over the tournament as well. Yet they did not participate in the tournament as combatants, as contenders. They just overseeing the tournament or hosted it. I believe he hosted the tournament, and the referee aided him in presiding over the outcome of the battle, or judging the winner of the battle. I mean, how else would you describe it? How else would you delineate the scenario? As I stated earlier, not well acclimated with the theories and depths, so you could watch the series for yourself and verify who these characters are. Again, we have more figurines. I believe this is Draco from the Battle Nexus tournament. I love his shiny armor. I can partially see my reflection off it. This figurine is novel. He's quite nifty. He can expand and contract his jaw. He has a hinge in his neck, can move up and down. He cannot swirl his head. I detest the fact that he lacks any finger joint articulation, but it is what it is. At least his claws are not red. At least you can see his scales. The deco on his back is atrocious. It's nice that he has a breastplate that he can wield. I prefer my action figures are equipped with accessories, but you don't always have the luxury of acquiring all the corresponding accessories that make buying action figures used. Newer figurines don't always come with accessories either. Sometimes they're devoid of accessories. Here's Leonardo. Not Leonardo, I mean, there's Donatello. Or Don. Sorry about the blunder. He may be able to transform or something. I'm not going to attempt to see what this figurine can do at the moment. I need to make further headway into the video and not get caught up in antics. We have Leonardo again. This may be from the TMNT movie, the CGI movie, or the TMNT Fast Forward series. Again, not 100% sure. This is not a bad variant of Leonardo. He's quite taller than his counterparts, but it's just a real shame and a real pity that he's missing his belt buckle. He's also missing his katanas. I mean, maybe on the bottom of the box we will see. We have a guardian ninja. He can slice and dice his adversaries. He can pummel them to death. He's a stoic warrior. He's a valiant, noble warrior. He is a protector. His mission is to protect the Utrans from the forces of evil that are content about decimating the world in the TMNT series, or the Turtles, or other heroic, noble characters. One of the final figurines is, of course, Donatello. He's wielding this helmet. I'm not 100% sure what this particular piece of the helmet is called. Not well acclimated with some terminology for skating gear. Maybe this is a visor. It can be pushed upward or pressed downward. So that's a novelty right there. The helmet has a gimmick. The turtle looks a bit gritty. This is the TMNT 2003 anime series. It's based off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic books that are more dark, that have more depths, that have perhaps a morbid ambiance. I never read the comics, so I shouldn't delve into discussing about them if I'm not well acclimated with them. But perhaps the turtles are not portrayed as lighthearted, charismatic, telegenic warriors in the comics. Perhaps they're more conservative and act as vigilantes without being humorous. I mean, I shouldn't really make arbitrary assumptions. Perhaps the comic books are darker than the TMNT 2012 animated series. Perhaps they're more gritty. Perhaps the Turtles have disparate personas than they have in the current TMNT series. So again, I shouldn't make these arbitrary assumptions. Just want to check something real briefly on my computer. Bear Alright, I was unable to find what I was searching for in that brief period of time, but nonetheless I digress. It's not very relevant. Here's an elite foot ninja. Missing his weapons, of course. He has a cape. He's quite an audacious warrior. He has a temerity to charge into the fray of battle and trounce anyone within his path. We have another evil, sadistic, malicious, likely coercive villain that will aggress against others to achieve his harmful goals, or his unfruitful goals. We have Triaxis, the Triceraton warrior who partook in the Battle Nexus tournament. His integrity has been a bit compromised. He's wielding both of his swords. I'm glad that he still has retained his weapons. Despite his age, he has been manufactured nearly a decade ago. He's held together by a series of strings, I believe. The strings can be tightened, or they can be loosened. You can modify their degree of tightness at your own discretion. So here's a Triceraton figurine. He's wielding his helmet. It can be removed or it can be equipped. You can choose how you want to display this figurine based on your own volition. This figurine is decent. He's not too shabby. We have an assortment of weapons for the turtles. We have a plethora of weapons. We have a Leonardo figurine wearing his disguise to obfuscate his identity. He wants to conceal his identity to blend in with civilians. We have the son of Casey Jones. We have the toddler Michelangelo turtle. We may have other toddler turtles. It's in the confines of the bag. We have a Donatello. Is it Donatello or Donatello? I believe it's Donatello. I believe it's the latter. So we have the Donatello toddler turtle figurine. We may have another one as well. Not 100% sure. We have a Leonardo toddler turtle. Who knows? We seemingly have at least 5 figurines within this bag. I believe this is a Jersey Devil figure. Let me remove him. Here's a Jersey Devil from the movie. We have a Leonardo missing various limbs. I want all my figurines to have their appendages intact and not severed, but you can't always get what you want, as I said earlier. We have a Mouser. We have a variety of weapons. There's a lot of diversity in this bag in terms of hunks of plastic. Here's a toddler turtle. I wouldn't deem it necessary for me to remove all these miniature weapons at the moment for the figurines, but maybe I'll equip them to the figurines in the pending future. I'll likely flaunt these figurines on my shelf now. I primarily bought a lot in order to obtain the TMNT clones. Or the evil clones of the turtles. I believe these figurines are clones. I recollect paying roughly $100 to obtain the lot. Did these figurines warrant the premium prices? I believe they did. I'm an avid, devout TMNT fan. I haven't seen the series in its entirety, but one day I'll hopefully be able to watch the series when time permits. It's not a priority. I'd rather be a content creator rather than be a submissive, passive viewer. But maybe one day I'll get around to watching the series. I mean, I may be 60 or 70. I have a lot that I want to do within my finite life, and watching the series is relegated to the back burner. But I do eat typically for 2 to 3 hours a day. I'm a vegan, so it takes me ample time to consume my food, so eventually I may get around to watching the series. Unfortunately, when I eat, I'm relegated to not being able to work unless I monetize myself eating, which I can't do at the moment at Ustream. I don't have the viewership. With Ustream, it's more arduous to get views than it is on other streaming websites, but maybe once again resort to monetizing myself eating via broadcasting live streams on YouTube. That's definitely something to consider. I'm not sure if there's really too much of a market for that. I doubt people are content with perpetually watching someone eat the same foods day after day without a variety to their meals. But if your daily regimen consists of eating vegan food, and if you work at home in front of a computer, then perhaps one day you'll be able to witness the TMNT series without foregoing the opportunity to work, since most people typically do not work amid eating. I don't. I take a break from working. I'm constantly working. I work to death. I'm a workaholic. But when I'm eating, maybe perhaps I can rewatch some of the episodes and revisit the series and understand the show in depth, not in debt. Sorry about the blunder. Aesthetic wise, I love most of these figurines. I'm glad that their condition isn't too poor. At least the seller wraps these figurines in bubble wrap. He could have neglected to utilize bubble wrap, as some sellers I bought items for have in the past. But the evil clones of the turtles are intact. They haven't been ravaged yet, and hopefully I'll be able to retain them for the rest of my finite life. So those are all of the figurines I received. I recollect receiving at least 25 to perhaps 35 figurines. I'm not 100% sure of the exact amount of figurines that I received. I'd have to count them for myself manually, but those are all the action figures within the lot. I'm glad that I have amplified my prodigious TMNT action figure collection. This was a massive lot. I'm content with the purchase. In hindsight, I would have implemented the same decision. I have no qualms about it. Would you have undergone the same purchase and decision that I did, considering that you could get 2% cash back as a rebate, and considering that you could redeem eBay bucks in the pending future post-purchasing these items? I'm just curious about your sentiments. I'm curious about the decision you would have implemented, but most of you probably would have neglected to purchase these figurines because of their condition, and likely because that they're not equipped with all their weapons. Yet again, I shouldn't make arbitrary assumptions. I don't know about my target market's needs. People love watching videos about action figures. That doesn't mean that they're adamant about always purchasing videos of figurines. That doesn't mean they're always adamant about purchasing figurines that they bear witness to in the videos. Sorry about the blunder that I undergone earlier. I rectify the mistake. The mistake has been remedied. I'm sure this video was intriguing to the avid devout, enthusiastic TMNT collector, but from the perspective of someone who's not an action figure collector, they may not find this video to be appealing. It's so contingent on your niche interests. I like action figures because I love the way they look, and that's pretty much it. I also love spawning stop motion videos about the figurines. I love displaying them on my shelf. I love flaunting them on my shelf so that every day I wake up I see, I guess you could say, 3D representations of figurines I love, or 3D models of characters that I love. So, I mean, I'm done reiterating myself. There's no need for me to perpetually be redundant. I'm going on and on and on. So, I hope you found this video to be appealing and amusing and enthralling, as well as insightful and informative. The other items in the box are not action figures, but overall I'm gratified with this lot. I relish these figurines. I will revel in displaying these figurines. Hopefully I'll be able to retain them. Time will tell what transpires. The future is an enigma. Once again, I hope that you are fond of this video. I hope that this video appeased you. I hope that you're gratified and satiated and content with what you have witnessed if you watched the video throughout its entirety. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Goodbye.